My work often deals with dislocation, belonging, migration, of course, and I tend to create characters that are unnamed and not quite easy to place. My name is Valeria Luiselli. I am a novelist and a nonfiction writer, but I mostly do something in the middle, something that might be called documentary fiction. And that is basically documentary practices that lead towards fiction making. I moved a lot when I was little. I lived in about 8 different countries and in 4 different continents and was always somehow a foreigner. And I think that foreignness is a kind of space that I've learned to inhabit better than any other. That's the place where I stand when I work.
Will there be horses there? Will there be arrows? Will we have beds, toys, food, enemies? When will we leave?
I started writing Lost Children Archive as a response to the refugee crisis of children arriving alone and undocumented at the border seeking asylum. I became more and more involved with that crisis, translating in court for children, and I started using the novel as a kind of dumping ground for all my political rage and frustration and fear and sadness until I realized that I wasn't doing any justice to the novel and wasn't doing any justice to the situation. So I stopped writing the novel, wrote a short essay called Tell Me How It Ends that addresses the issue directly, and then was able to go back to the novel later. I've always written both in Spanish and in English. And in fact, in the early stages of any work, I write my notes in both languages, often mixing them together chaotically, until one of the 2 languages reveals itself to me as the right one for that material. I'm working on a really difficult project right now that will ultimately be a kind of sound map of femicide in the US-Mexico borderlands, especially on the US side of the border. It's a kind of appropriation, but also subversion of the genre of reenactment. And in this particular reenactment, the characters are not sort of Billy the Kid and Wyatt Earp and the usual Wild West reenactors, but rather a chorus of women who have been killed in the borderlands from the 19th century till today. My work comes through a combination of anger and clarity, or an attempt to find clarity in a world that is constantly filling us with fear and confusion. And I strive through my work to find, if I'm lucky, some kind of beauty.